Are you excited for the crossover between Beyond the Gates and the Bold and the Beautiful? The surprises are still ahead. Fans are already speculating that if Ridge Forrester turns up on Beyond the Gates, he might be written as a father who survived a crash but lost his memory, took on a new name, and therefore wouldn't be easily recognized by the others. The historic new daytime drama Beyond the Gates has officially announced its second crossover with one of CBS's sister series, and its first with the Bold and the Beautiful. After Bryton James brought a taste of Genoa City from the young and the restless to BTG's fictional suburban setting of Fairmont, Maryland in August, CBS revealed on Monday that longtime B&B star Torsten Kaye is now planning a visit of his OWIS, part of a broader release detailing the network's fall daytime lineup and premiere dates. CBS highlighted how the ongoing drama is drawing in BTG's brightest and best, like EGOT-winning matriarch Anita Dupree, fashion designer Chelsea, Ronnie Rose, Montia, who was recently kidnapped, and her terrified, fierce mother, Danny. Last month, James crossed over as Y&R's music executive Devin Winters just as Anita reunited with the girl group that launched her career, The Articulates. He offered the singer a lucrative record deal, but ever the faithful Dupree, she turned it down to focus on family. Devin flew from Genoa City into the DMV to meet Anita and Vernon in a setting both elegant and tense, where the historic portraits lining the country club's halls seemed to mirror the power lines the Dupree family has threaded through the decades. There, Danny unexpectedly ran into Devin in a moment loaded with mixed feelings, not to rekindle a noisy old romance, but to pose a knottier question: whether the justice she's chasing for those who once dismissed her can be reconciled with the professional dream she sacrificed everything to pursue, and whether the reputation she's built at Fairmont Crest can withstand backstage dealings among Devin, Anita, and Vernon that have always prioritized corporate interests and political influence. That multilayered handshake opened the door to a new turn, as Danny and Andre accepted a surprise trip at the discreet invitation of a partner in the luxury fashion industry. A trip officially billed as philanthropic outreach and relationship building, but understood by all as a tactful way of hinting at revelations that could shake both coasts. Danny and Andre's journey isn't simply a route from Fairmont Crest to Los Angeles. It's a path through layers of memory and hurt. Danny was once the face of major campaigns, and although she pivoted into business with Pamela to launch a modeling agency, her name still stirs debate whenever she steps into a room full of flashbulbs and seven-figure contracts awaiting signatures. Andre, long seen as the family's rational link, carries an invisible emptiness from the plain tragedy years ago that took his parents. Every outwardly calm movement is shadowed by a shifting question. What really happened in the sky that night? Who was saved? And who was lost in the official emergency reports in Los Angeles? The doors open to Forrester Creations, not only a fashion house defined by immaculate cuts and runway strides season after season, but also a power architecture expanding into jewelry and fragrance, building luxury branches robust enough to create a full ecosystem around style icons. In that picture, Ridge serves as co-CEO, guardian of legacy and driver of strategic leaps. A collaboration proposal with Danny would be not only logical in business terms but culturally apt. The Duprees are titans in philanthropy and media leverage and even maintain a private fashion collection robust enough to mount a retrospective. If the question is how Ridge should appear on Beyond the Gates in a way that fits canon and is big enough to generate real, hot news, the most sensible answer isn't to rewrite him as Andre's mysterious father, a move that would rupture an interconnected universe built on character continuity, but to let Ridge be Ridge. He would enter Fairmont Crest as an allied force and strategic variable capable of tilting alliances. His presence would tie into Danny's modeling past, activate Pamela's professional network, peel back Anita and Vernon's expectations for the family's image strategy, and create space for Andre to face questions of selfhood on a stage where fashion, politics, and philanthropy are tightly interlaced. At first glance, the professional hookup between Danny and Ridge might look like a straightforward partnership, a limited Fairmont Crest capsule collection, a traveling show that opens in the DMV and lands in Los Angeles, a Dupree-branded fashion scholarship fund backing young designers. In essence, though, it's a trust-testing stage where the parties must commit to supply chain transparency, whether media pressure about leaning on Danny's old halo, and negotiate the boundary between family heritage and the luxury market's need for reinvention. Ridge's vigilance over brand risk would compel Forrester to write ethical clauses into the deal. Pamela would seize the chance to put her young models on a global runway and demand commensurate image rights. Anita would calculate tax policy advantages for the charity if the first show were staged at the Fairmont Crest complex as a marquee community event. Against that backdrop, familiar soap world rumors naturally sprout. Anonymous sources splice a clue from a long-ago crash file with the fact that Forrester once commissioned a one-of-a-kind jewelry piece for a woman whose timeline overlaps with the period when Andre's mother was still active in civic circles. From there, whispers grow about a prototype bracelet that went missing and may have boarded the doomed flight. Some even push the theory further. A male passenger survived, was taken to an undisclosed West Coast medical facility with a head injury and amnesia, and the piece of jewelry was the only object that calmed him. The result is a dangerous wave of media noise. If left unchecked, the public could slide from anticipating a fashion collaboration to believing Ridge is related to Andre, fueling a whirlwind of suspicion that could damage both brands. Yet the hardware of canon won't support that angle. Ridge's personal history, family ties, and career are publicly documented, with major milestones witnessed across the Los Angeles universe, while Andre's parents' story belongs to an entirely different frame of reference. The sensible direction is to turn speculation into a pressure test that reveals everyone's core. Andre must step out of his safe zone for the first time, proactively ordering an independent audit of the crash records, tracing the rescue timeline, and tracking hospitals that admitted unidentified patients in that window. At the same time, he asks Danny and Pamela to wield media power carefully to quash misreadings about Ridge. While Andre follows the data trail, Ridge becomes a pragmatic guide. He doesn't just seat Danny with Thomas's design team to map a show that fuses haute couture with art jewelry. He also insists the team assess legal risks, codifies transparency standards for all charity tie-ins and for Pamela's company, and ensures that no agreement uses community optics to disguise commercial motives. He also offers Danny an exit from scandal marketing, centering expertise and discipline instead. That approach forces Danny, long accustomed to living amid screaming headlines, to realize that, to endure in a long game, she must choose between the addictive noise and the steadier prestige built on airtight shows, leak-proof contracts, and clear charitable accounting. As for Fairmont Crest, Anita and Vernon can see the chance to reshape the complex's identity. From a historic gala venue into a culture fashion center with international draw, where a Forrester show could attract buyers, press organizations, and social advocates united by sustainable principles. Opportunity comes with a price, though. Ridge's presence implicitly requires the Duprees to articulate ethical commitments across their partner network, open financial files tied to their funds, and even re-examine older contracts signed in murkier years, prime ground for conflict between a hunger for renewal and a need to protect secrets. On the flip side, Devin, who stirred the pot at Fairmont Crest, sniffs a chance to televise the saga, proposing a docu-series that follows the collaboration. But that very idea puts Danny in a bind. Any camera can become a lens that warps professional effort into drama. She knows too well that one out-of-context clip hinting at something that isn't there could sink the entire deal. Deeper still, Andre's probe into the crash turns up chilling yet soap-logical breadcrumbs. A rescue dispatch log showing the aircraft's engine readings dropped later than the official estimate by several minutes. A decoded note in a medical file mentioning an unidentified male patient who kept repeating a numeric string that matches the first 3 digits of the family safe's code. Bill of lading from a shipping outfit indicating an undocumented person brought ashore by a private fishing boat after a storm. None of it is definitive, but together the fragments form a red thread. Andre allows a possibility long buried under grief. His father may have survived, slipped into anonymity, and fallen off every official map? If so, a transparent DNA test could bring the truth to light. Even if a lead points to a convalescent facility on the outskirts, every step must follow legal and ethical protocols. Any procedural misstep would turn truth into ammunition for those looking to damage Forrester, Fairmont, Crest, and the Dupree family. Within that chessboard, keeping Ridge exactly who he is, a powerful partner, a keeper of industry standards, a high-impact professional counterparty, proves the wisest move. It preserves continuity in the Los Angeles universe, unlocks a new conflict axis grounded in truth and honor rather than arbitrary twists, and, more importantly, gives Danny a richer character arc. She must test herself with discipline, dial down her instinct for noise, and learn to persuade through competence. Meanwhile, Andre finally embarks on a risky but necessary search, both to quiet the echo of that night's disaster and to ensure that any conclusion, whether confirming his father's death or reviving hope that he lived, can stand up to scrutiny as autumn opens. A trial show at Fairmont Crest could become the first chapter of a new chronicle, silk evening capes shimmering beside the gleam of art jewelry, speeches about the fashion scholarship fund interwoven with publicly posted ledgers of contributions, cameras, if present, forced to yield to paperwork, figures, and transparent procedures. If an unknown guest lingers at the far edge of the hall, staring at an old photo of a young couple in the Fairmont Crest gallery, that might spark the next storyline. But the focal image is still Danny stepping out from backstage with a newly earned calm, Pamela at her side like a steel tendon, Ridge nodding, a marker that this collaboration is worth defending, and Andre in the distance, letting the beat of his heart and the tempo of truth finally sink, ready to face whatever a DNA test might bring. He understands that not every legend needs a genealogical shock to be memorable. Sometimes rejecting a sensational theory, like forcing Ridge into a father role, is exactly what keeps the story's poise, while leaving room for a reunion, if it exists, or a final farewell, if it must be, carried out in order under the runway lights, where elegance isn't a coat of gloss but a ritual honoring what's most real.